the LOTOJA Classic, a race that spans 200 miles and 8,500 feet of elevation gain between northern Utah and Jackson Hole, Wyoming. This will be a good test for some new equipment, namely the SL8. I've done this race 5 times, twice with the Venge Vias and 3 times with the SL7. So here's the setup for 2023. Of course, I'll ride the SL8, and I'm really excited to see how it performs over 200 miles. I've ridden it 100 miles, but 200 miles really puts comfort and ride quality into perspective. I'll run a 48.35 with a 10.33. I think that should help on the climbs while providing enough top end for the descents. This will be my first time racing SRAM, so I'm crossing my fingers. I decided to go with the NV45s, and I went back and forth between these and the 2.3s for this race. I love the way the 2.3s climb, and I have had some of my best days of the year on them, but I'll take a little bit of the aero gains of the 4.5s for the last 100 miles of this race. I decided to go with the Corsa Pros here, and I debated this for quite a while. It was between these and the GP5000 STRs. Now, I've raced the GP5000 TLs for the last few years, and I love them. They're my favorite tire of all time, totally bulletproof, and I think they roll really, really well. But look, the Corsa Pros have been nothing but excellent for me. Plus, BicycleRollingResistance.com gave the Corsa Pros a better puncture protection rating than the GP5000 STRs in exchange for less than a watt of increased rolling resistance. So for a race like this, I'll take the extra puncture protection, and plus those Corsa Pros just roll so smoothly. I also debated between a 28 mil tire and a 30 mil tire for this race. The 30 mil tire just adding a little bit of extra comfort over 200 miles. Ultimately, I opted for the 28 mil as they measure a little bit larger on the NV45s with a 25 millimeter internal width, while still maintaining like a decent aero profile on the wheel. I'm gonna go with the Pro Stealth Carbon saddle. It's the one that I've had on all my bikes for years, and it just works really, really well for me, especially over this long distance. I'll be using the Wahoo Element Bolt for this race. And look, the battery life on the Karoo 2 is totally sufficient. I just don't feel like I need the extra data that the Karoo provides. And plus, I'll be riding with a friend who has the Karoo. He'll be right next to me the whole time, so I can ask him any climb and data questions in real time. Plus, you know what it's like in a race. I mean, sometimes it's just best to turn off all of that data and just focus on the race, because if you miss a move, it could cost you the entire race, right? No real debate here. The Evade is what I've used for the last few years, and it's fast, and the new Evade 3 vents quite well on hot days, so it's kind of a no-brainer for me. Again, for this year, I'll be riding the S-Works 7 lace shoe. These continue to be the most comfortable and responsive shoe that I've ever ridden. There's something about the way that the laces kind of distribute the pressure across your feet. It eliminates any hot spots, and like the last thing that you want when you're in the saddle for 9 or 10 hours are uncomfortable feet. I'll use the Mount Ventoux sock from Defeat. This is a sock that I've used for years, and it's probably my favorite sock. If you've ever seen any pictures of any socks that I've worn, it's typically the Mount Ventoux sock. That's just kind of a sock that you don't even realize that it's there. And so again, over a distance like this, you really don't want to feel your socks at all. So I'll rock those again. I'll be using a couple different ceramic speed parts for this race. I have a ceramic speed coated bottom bracket in the SL8, and in the NV45s in the hub, I have ceramic speed coated bearings. And then as a chain lube, I will use the ceramic speed UFO drip. That seems to work well over 200 miles. I'll start off on race day with a very simple bottle mix of carbs and aminos. I find that I don't need caffeine the day of the race, as my nerves are enough to kind of get me started in the morning. I'll also start off with a high carb breakfast, hopefully a decent sized one. Generally speaking, I aim to consume around 300 calories an hour, mostly through liquids. I'll use a mix of First Endurance's EFS Pro, Scratch Labs Super High Carb, and Amino Energy in each of my bottles, and I'll consume a few liquid shots 3 to 4 hours in. My family will be doing rider support with pit stops at around 70 miles, 140 miles, and 180 miles. These stops are super, super quick. They last like 30 seconds at most, just enough time to swap bottles and keep going. In our start group, or our flight of 55 riders, we have a team of 5 strong riders, and we've competed against some of the other guys in our group in the past. And look, these guys are super, super fast, so it should make for a very, very fun day. I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, thanks for following along. If you have any questions, drop me a comment below, and I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. Anyways, until next time.